Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can all hear me.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Dennis, Beams, Blessing, Daniel. Our mentor, Mr. Felix, good afternoon. Mr. Gabriel Udo, good afternoon. Nice to see you today. Thank you for joining the call. Okay, my name is Hussein Mahadi. Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Thank you.
My name is Hussein Mahadi, and I'll be moderating the session today until 1 p.m. when I'll be going to the mosque, and my colleague Dennis will be taking over from there. Welcome to the call. It's JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program on Artificial Intelligence, and today is the first week of the fourth quarter of the program. We've been having the program since January, the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, and now we're on the fourth quarter. Welcome all our new mentees on the call, and thank you very much, our mentors, for joining us today. So the topic for today is utilizing AI to solve socio-economic challenges. And with us today, we have three mentors, Mr. Gabriel Udo, Mr. Udomo Ali, and Mr. Felix Ologbonyo. These are our three mentors. Let's welcome our mentors on the call. I can see they're already on the call. Quickly, I'll be making a few announcements. Then I would also be taking our mentors profile. I'll be reading our mentors profile for everyone to see. I need to share my screen, please. Someone else is sharing their screen. Please, you can stop sharing. Thank you.
Please, if you can reduce the volume more again. Sure, you can hear what they are saying. Yeah, leave it.
Mr. Dennis, you're unmuted. Please kindly mute yourself. Okay. I hope you can all see my screen. I'll be telling us about JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program, and also the objectives. Quickly make a few announcements, then also read our mentors profile. Thank you very much, everyone, once again for joining the call today. JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program is a quarterly program for students and young professionals across Africa. Mentees are afforded the opportunity to access valuable advice, training network, mentorship, internship, discussion forum, industry updates, resource materials from experienced mentors. The program seeks to encourage continuous training, development, and evolution in Nigeria, Africa, and around the world. You can watch some of our previous videos and also our current video, this video we are on our YouTube page, Facebook, and LinkedIn by searching for JIIPCC. Some of the objectives of the program are to provide easy access, guidance, training, and resource materials for students and young professionals across Africa, to facilitate dialogue among experienced and less experienced practitioners and stakeholders to transform mentees into mentors and leaders for the next generation. And finally, to facilitate further mentorship, internship, scholarship, and job placements for the mentees. So registration for this quarter, the fourth quarter, is still currently ongoing. You have friends, colleagues that want to take a mentorship program in any of the courses on your screen. We have IP, we have artificial intelligence, we have the energy industry, fintech, health tech, and law. We are not currently taking patent drafting and blockchain. That will be for next quarter, but we take data, privacy and protection, and finally, entertainment, business, and law. And JIIPC is providing a session for our mentees to have a private mentorship session with their favorite mentor. So in the course of the program, if you have a favorite mentor, you can reach out to the JIIPC team to link you with the mentor to have private session, get hacks, secrets, live lessons, and direction on your career from your favorite mentor. So now I'll be reading our mentor's profile. I'm starting with Mr. Felix Olobonyo. Mr. Felix Olobonyo is a senior manager with MTN Nigeria, Africa's foremost telecommunication and technology company. He provides strategic and bespoke legal solutions to the business across all its divisions, including subsidiaries. He equally sits on the panel of neutrals at the Lagos Multi-Door Courthouse, the first and foremost court-connected mediation center in Africa, where he has mediated over 120 cases. He was legal manager with Nestle Central, West and East Africa for almost 8 years, where he served as special legal advisor on antitrust, electronic commerce, data privacy and protection, and technology law. He holds a Bachelor of Law degree from the University of Lorraine, a BL from the Nigerian Law School, advanced certificate in intellectual property management from World Intellectual Property Academy, Geneva, 2 master's degree in law from University of Lagos, certificate in law and artificial intelligence from the Europa University Institute, Italy, in addition to other professional qualifications. He currently serves as one of the members of the Committee on National Artificial Intelligence Policy, set up by the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy to draft the Nigerian policy on artificial intelligence. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let me see our reactions. Let me see how happy we are on the chat box from our mentees, welcoming our mentors on the call. Our second mentor for today is Mr. Udomo Ali. Udomo is the global head of research for Qualification Check, a leader in academics and professional verifications that seeks to protect the world from fake qualifications and documents using technology capabilities. He is a legal researcher and co-founder of the Society of Artificial Intelligence and Law, a body devoted to promoting research in the field of AI and law, while seeking to create awareness of the legal issues associated with AI and machine learning. Thank you very much for joining us today, Mr. Udomo Ali. And finally, our mentor, Mr. Gabriel Udo. Gabriel Udo is a research fellow at the Robotics and Artificial Intelligence Law Society, Wales, Berlin, with a strong passion for the intersection of AI, law, ethics, and society. Also, he is a PhD candidate at the Europa University Vadrina, focusing on the law and ethics of autonomous weapons system. His expertise spans topics like robotics, smart city technology, digital colonialism, and privacy. He is also proficient in Python programming and data analysis. Thank you very much once more. Let me see our reactions coming in from our mentees. I'm welcoming our mentors on the call. Now I'll be calling on our mentors to give us an introduction to the topic, an overview of the topic. I'll start with Mr. Felix. If Mr. Felix is on the call, you have 20 minutes to talk to us, the mentees. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much and good afternoon, everybody. Let me just quickly apologize for not being able to switch on my video. I earlier indicated to the organizer that there was a supervening circumstance. I'm currently attending a funeral program. It's because of the importance I attach to this that I have to quickly just rush into my car to attend to this session. Obviously, I may not be able to sit all through. But again, I consider it a privilege to be here. So first, my thanks goes to the organizer for putting this together and giving us opportunity to discuss this ever-evolving topic, and of course, quite important. Then I want to thank all my co-mentors who are here. So, can you still hear me, please? Just want to be sure, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, we can hear you, yeah.
Okay, I just discovered something happened to the screen, maybe because Isa stopped sharing. So, thank you also for this opportunity. So let me just quickly go to the overview of the topic that we have. I understand there was a change in between. So if I'm wrong, please let me know. My understanding is that we'll be discussing how to use AI to solve problem. Madi, am I correct, please? Because I know there was a change in between. Hello?
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. You're on the right topic.
Yes, sir, you're correct, sir.
Okay, so just quickly, obviously, I'm not going to spend 20 minutes. I think this is extremely important because for us to have this conversation, like every technology, right from the Stone Age, from the Dark Age, there's always been invention, and the utility of every invention is measured by the problem it solves. If it does not solve a problem, it is not an invention. So to say, it's more or less like a waste of time, because man continued to try to change his environment, improve on his environment, processes, and of course, all the factors of production, because we need improvement and because of the utility, because of the application, and how they enhance human life. And so when you talk about AI is also a form of technology. And why everybody is talking about AI is because AI is changing a lot of things, is solving a lot of problems, is being applied to solve a lot of problems. I know on this platform we have discussed, maybe I think in the last stream that we had, we discussed the issue of how to regulate AI. But I understand more as we continue to have that conversation. It's also important, and as we're going to see today, that AI solves enormous problems, a lot of human problems, and I will just speak to maybe a few of them just by way of overview. I think the first thing you want to see is, and I will speak maybe not with respect to us as personal, as individuals, but let me speak in respect of companies and corporations. And that does not mean it does not really affect us as individuals, because the uses of AI are quite numberless, and we will not exhaust them if we continue to just name them one by one. The first thing I will talk about is the aspect of customer support. Now, we have the like of ChatGPT, we have a whole lot of algorithms put in place, which of course have, let me say, demonstrated a lot of impact on operations of company. And if you check now, maybe for example, when it comes to customer support, a lot of companies now use chatbots to actually answer questions and attend to customer requests and all that. That's a great use. This has reduced the cost of corporations and of course promoted their efficiency in such a way that you can get online any time of the day, ask your normal questions, frequently asked questions, and you'll get answer without necessarily having somebody at the back of the system who is there answering you, but chatbots is doing that, which is a form of AI application. Then you talk about aspect of where customer, you talk about biometrics. Now, I work in telecommunication, and this is extremely important to us or for us. Now, we have currently my company, we have close to 70 million subscribers, and we have to deal with these subscribers maybe on daily basis. A lot of people come to offices trying to do some sort, try to get information and all that. So one of the things you need to have in your database is AI application that helps you to capture the biometrics. And by biometrics, I talk about your fingerprint, your iris and all that. And so that helps in storing the data. And when you now need to pull out to do recognition, we talk about voice and face recognitions. We take people's picture, and if you are coming for verification, it is AI system that will actually match your pictures together, because we know we change every now and then. But AI application help us to know that this is the same person who came for a transaction last time and the person is dead. So you talk about predictive personalization. I'm just talking about aspect of customer support. We all know that if you try to go to Jumia today to buy anything, the next time and you buy, maybe you go there twice, the next time you open your Yahoo, you're going to see something similar to what you bought last time. So what the system is doing is to say that, oh, you bought 1, 2, 3 last time. I suggest, or I think that because you bought 1, 2, 3, you either would like 4, 5, 6, or you will need 4, 5, 6. And so they personalize the prediction, and it just come up for you to say check. It's part of customer support, which is also supporting the business. Now, let me move to data analysis because of time. So we deal with a lot of data, and corporations has enormous data to deal with. AI helps to produce data unification. Now, for example, you have, like I said, we deal with about 60 million subscribers. Now, if we want to get data about these 60 million subscribers, you use AI application is to help you to unify the data. And on that basis, you can do your analysis, you can do your prediction, you can sample a lot of stuff. This is what AI does. Then it helps, because of the data analysis, it helps you to do, you can begin to do some marketing prediction, you can do some outcome, you can report, you can do your report generation, as in generate your report based on the data made available through the use of AI. And we can do demand forecasting based on customer behaviors that have been retained, based on information that you have. You can begin to demand, oh, customers will like this kind of product because they have conducted themselves in particular way, and based on the information made available to you through the deployment of AI, then you can begin to determine which kind of product the customer wants and all that. And by implication, that's going to improve your efficiency as a business. It's going to also improve, and this also can actually apply to us. A lot of us have stores on Facebook. You do a whole lot of marketing, it gives you information. So not necessarily like a big corporation that I work with. So, and by so doing, it helps you to get better accuracy, customer satisfaction. Now, let me speak about maybe 1 or 2 things, because I promise I know I'm not going to take time. Now, let's talk about fraud. Now, one of the most important things that AI does, it helps in detection of fraud. It helps in ID, in preventing document forgery, even payment fraud detection, stuff like email phishing, and a whole lot of stuff that AI can help you to do as a business. A lot of fraudulent transactions that will have gone through will be let me say, will be arrested, for lack of better additions coming to me, or flagged by AI application based on the information you already have, and because of the super intelligence of this application. So this is one of the important uses of AI. Now,
Mr. Felix, we can't hear you again.
I don't want to go to someone like Mr. Udo. We have where I wouldn't know if we want to consider that as a use, but again, I will leave that ethics because I know it's dealing with the issue of ethical aspect of this, and I want to actually to speak more about this. But I know when you talk about autonomous weapon and all that, let's assume it's neutral. So Mr. Udo will speak about the ethicality of this. But in deployment of this, yes, AI helps. These days, it's possible not to fight a war with a human being. It's possible for you to actually sit in your office and destroy a whole place and fight war. And the AI application works with supersonic speed and excellent accuracy so that a target can just be hit and brought down immediately. Now, like I said, I won't discuss the ethicality of aspect of war, but if you want to look at it in neutral sense, it's actually a use. But don't let us discuss whether it is ethical or not. So you have a whole lot of uses of AI. And so if I continue to talk and discuss, okay, for example, you have the JIIPCCMIP. A lot of people already are writing books, getting information because of the deployment of this application. Now, as to the veracity of information you are getting and reliability, I don't think the scope of our conversation is going to cover that this afternoon. But whether or not we like it, it actually is used and it has helped a lot of people tremendously. It's only that as these technologies develop, of course, it is important we underline the fact that we also need to be cautious. For example, I know a colleague, a lawyer in the US used ChatGPT to prepare a brief. And I think it's a popular case, a lot of us know what happened to him. So as to reliability, maybe of such nascent applications, that may not be part of what we want to discuss, but by and large, and in a very quite enormous way that I will not be able to exhaust, and I doubt if we can exhaust this if we continue to discuss. AI is of enormous importance, and of course, its uses are quite overwhelming. So I would need to stop at this point so that I can yield the floor for my co-mentors to take it from here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Felix, for that introduction to the topic. From your perspective, kindly note that your network has been very disruptive, so we're not getting everything completely. Thank you very much. So I'll be calling on our next mentor on the call, Mr. Odomo Ali, to take it from here.
Okay, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Once again, it's nice to see Gabriel Hagia, and thank you very much, Isa. So thank you very much, Mr. Felix, as well. I mean, what you said was spot on and was asked to the applicability of AI to socioeconomic issues generally. I'm going to be looking at, first of all, I think I'm going to be titling my own presentation still on the general topic, utilizing AI to solve socioeconomic challenges. However, I will be looking at what the challenges are, the advantages of AI, and at the same time, painting some scenarios where artificial intelligence has come to help curb these challenges. But it's pertinent to start by defining what AI is, even though we all pretty much have a fair knowledge. But I think AI, the definition of AI depends on who you're asking, actually. And personally, for me, it's a buzzword, that applies broadly to a set of machine learning technologies. And Russell and Novich, in their book, Artificial Intelligence, A Modern Approach, they likened AI to a software capable of imitating human action and thoughts. But I will generally want to say AI refers to more like the development of computer systems that can perform tasks that typically and generally require human intelligence. So in the context of socioeconomic challenges, AI's capabilities hold immense, if not potential for positive impact and to cope and to help solve the challenges that are there. And when we look at our world right now, our world is presently confronted with a multitude of complex social economic challenges. And these challenges include poverty, healthcare disparities. We also have the educational gaps that tend to be, and also unemployment. I mean, I've gone through the presentation, the slides that the participants have prepared, and some of these challenges are also enumerated therein. So I won't dwell so much on that, but I'm just going to pick up this four that I mentioned: poverty, healthcare, education gaps, and also unemployment. Running through them, all these challenges, so to say, affect individuals. They affect individuals, they affect communities, they affect nations, which thereby leads to social inequality and also reduced quality of life. The scale and complexity of these issues call for innovative solutions. And this is where AI, I believe, can play a pivotal role, if not something more important than that. So quickly swinging by to the advantages of AI within the socio-economic space or in addressing socio-economic challenges, so to say. Let's look at the first one where I wrote scalability. So we have AI solutions can scale up to process large sets and serve as vast number of individuals. Multiple persons or people find data, you have AI solutions that could carry out these tasks generally, thereby easing the human interaction and like and at the same time saving time and in a more faster way, use data and make the responses to evolving challenges. We also look at precision. It's important to note that AI's ability to identify patterns and trends enhances the accuracy of decision making and resource allocation. One quick one is, let's look at Instagram. You probably have gone through a lot of pages that has to do with the sale of, let's say, shoes, designer wears, or primarily shoes. And because you've had to go through a lot of pages on Instagram that has similar content, that trend and that pattern, you get to have suggestions from Instagram relating to that particular item you've viewed in the past, because it's kind of a pattern it has drawn that this is something you're most interested in right now. This is what the algorithm does actually. And then in terms of cost efficiency, AI can at the same time optimize processes, thereby reducing waste, and also the individual organization involved can allocate resources more effectively, which often leads to cost-saving practices. If we look at kind of a case study, poverty alleviation, by diving into this real-world example of AI in terms of harnessing and addressing poverty, an AI-driven solution is used to target and aid resources more effectively. You know, it does this by more or less analyzing demographic data and then economic indicators and local conditions. If you're not pretty much within the economic field or operations background, you probably may not be acclimatized to these terminologies. I feel it's something that generally we tend to do when you're working with data and you're working with information that has to do with quantifying such kind of plethora of, not theory now, but more of statistics and, how do I put it up? Quantifying data primarily. And this precision, you know, tends to allow for allocation of resources where they can have the greatest impact, ultimately lifting people out of poverty. Now, quickly, just like Mr. Felix said, Gabriel will be looking at the ethical considerations, most, no doubt, but I'm just going to touch a little bit on that. From my own perspective, you know, while AI offers immense potential it's essential for us to address the ethical concerns. It's something that is I'm most passionate about as well. And addressing issues such as bias, privacy, and the potential for job displacement will tend to strike the right balance between innovation and at the same time ethical responsibility is in socioeconomic issues. Now, when we look at the case pertaining to addressing unemployment, navigating this, we'll discover that AI-driven job machine and matching process. There's the skill development program, also the matching process for jobs. I'm sure some of you may have heard of what's it called now? Actually, it was in my head just a moment ago, but right now I can't remember what's it. But it's an AI software wherein you send in an application for a particular role and you dropped in your resume, your CV, and your resume is actually paired or matched through an AI software to see if it has the keywords that the recruiter is looking for, or it has the specific description of the role you've probably done in the past and what you're looking for right now. I can't remember what it's called, but probably after it happens, sometimes after your presentation, that's where you get to remember what you wanted to say. But there's something like that. So with such a system, AI algorithms tend to analyze the job market data and also match job seekers with suitable opportunities and thereby reducing unemployment rates, no doubt. But on the flip side, it also has the consideration or the challenge where we have to talk about ethical bias. Are you actually, is that algorithm actually pairing you with the right job, or is there sort of discrimination based on your race, your color, or probably even your religion, But generally, AI aids in identifying skills gaps and providing training to equip individuals for the job market that they are looking to venture into. Now, quickly, without actually stressing much on the ethical consideration we need to consider actually bias and fairness, and also we need to consider transparency and accountability. Some AI systems can hinder accountability and make it challenging to understand decision-making processes. Ethical AI should prioritize transparency by providing explanations for AI-driven decisions, especially in contexts like loan approvals, hiring, and also resource allocation. Also look at the consideration within the social economic context. All these ethical considerations are within the social economic context. So we're also looking at privacy and data protection. We all pretty much know what that is. Well, in order not to assume, AI often relies on vast amounts of personal data, thereby raising concerns about individual privacy and breach of that privacy. And also ethical AI thereby practices should prioritize data anonymization. Informed consent is very important, and also stringent data protection measures to safeguard individuals' information. Unfortunately, and yet fortunately, in Africa, we do not have so robust a safeguard or a mechanism where our data or personal information is being protected. However, couple of countries within the continent are also adopting and actually preparing such kind of legislation or legislative framework that will guide individual privacy and also protect the data that is being used by recruiters or on websites, basically just to erode that concern on breach of privacy and data protection. We also have the consideration pertaining to job placement or displacement, and also reskilling, upskilling, reskilling. There's this general misconception that AI is coming to take away the jobs ordinarily performed by humans. On one hand, it's actually true, but on the other hand, it's largely 60% untrue. And then it's more or less what's going to do is you, as a human, what you have to do is to reskill and upskill pretty much, because the automation of certain tasks by AI can result in job displacement, which ultimately will affect livelihoods. And so AI implementation should ethically include strategies for reskilling and upskilling the workforce, the present workforce, to minimize such negative socioeconomic impact. And then we're also looking at the fact that access to inclusivity, accountability for errors, security and cyber threats, human oversight and controls, global equity, long-term impact assessment. These are all considerations. That's why I said I didn't want to dwell so much in it, because I believe Gabriel's going to do that. But these are considerations that need to be put in place while developing AI systems, machines, algorithms that will curb socioeconomic issues generally. When we look at the roadmap to AI implementation, we need, I believe we need a well-defined roadmap, because this includes stuff like data collection, model development, and continuous improvement within the roadmap. A clear strategy will ensure successful integration of AI solutions. And not to forget that collaboration with key stakeholders is key, both between public and private sectors. It's very, very important to have such collaborative efforts, because successful examples of partnerships have already tackled socioeconomic challenges. And then together, I believe we all can amplify the impact of AI solutions. One challenge that most, will I call it, startups, AI generators or algorithm creators tend to face is funding and resources. Implementing AI solution requires a lot of financial support. And therefore, it's important for to explore government grants, such as corporate sponsorships and also philanthropic initiatives to secure necessary resources that will fund these AI solutions. Very important is the human element in all these AI here and there in terms of curbing the social economic challenges that we currently face. AI is a tool, and it's not a replacement for human compassion and judgment. It's just a tool created by human. So the human element will always be there behind. A human created the AI, which is a tool. A human thought of what will be placed into the AI. So it's not here to replace human judgment or compassion. So the critical role of human expertise in guiding and overseeing AI-driven solutions is important. There need to be emphasis, we need to place emphasis on that critical role of human expertise generally within overseeing and guiding AI-driven solutions, so as to assess the effectiveness of AI solutions. We must measure their impact. And how can we measure the impact? By using relevant metrics to track progress and also make data-driven decisions. Largely, I believe monitoring and evaluation also ensures, MEAL ensures continuous improvement within the space. But I think generally AI is here to help, and it's here can be used as a tool to curb social economic issues and problems we face in our society and in our nation today. I think this is all for me. I do not want to go so much in depth because Gabriel will be doing justice to a little bit more. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Udomo Ali, and also our previous mentor, Mr. Felix. Finally, to Mr. Gabriel, our last mentor for today. Mr. Gabriel, I like your haircuts. You're looking so fresh and handsome.
Yeah, winter is here. We change everything.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's nice to see you, Mr. Udomo Ali. It's been quite a while.
Yeah, sure.
I just wonder why you keep pushing everything to me. There are issues that I'm sure you could handle quite comfortably. I'll try to deal with some of them as much as possible. Um, Thank you once again for inviting me, and thank you, Mr. Felix. I don't know whether you're still here. Like I mentioned, you made our presentation so easy because
Thank you so much. I'm still here, even though I may leave any moment from now.
yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. You gave a very you gave a foundation that made our presentations, if we have to make presentations like we've done, it created that framework that we could all fit in our discussions, and it makes it easier. I think one of the major problems we have with AI-related discussions in the social science space is the issue with understanding, especially with the complicated terminologies that may not be really available, especially for those that are lawyers. You hear things like parameters, you hear things like data analysis, you hear things like data collation. And even the term artificial intelligence itself becomes really confusing because in philosophy, it has a different meaning. In law, it just feels like something else. So when you get into discussions where you have people from different places, it's difficult to pinpoint what would fit into everyone's understanding or what we can all agree. But then, so what I usually do is when I get into discussions, I try to keep it as simple as possible. I avoid the very technical terms because first of all, I believe we need to understand it from a personal place before we get into the technical terms and what do we need this for, why do we need this, and why do we need that. So having said that, I should also mention here that as I late yesterday or early this morning, I got the information that the topics had been changed. So I had to do a quick presentation. And as a matter of fact, I usually prefer to do very brief presentations at the beginning. I have a slide here. I hope I'm able to share. Let's see. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep, sure, I can.
Okay. Yeah, so it's
Yes,
just
sir.
going to be something brief, maybe 5 or 6 slides. I just wanted to be sure. I'll do most of the speaking from my head. I hope I can remember everything. But I just really like us to have something to look at, so we have a structure. We understand the dimension of the discussion. First of all, the first two mentors have already done justice to the general understanding of artificial intelligence. I believe this is a new cohort. In the previous cohorts of this program, we've had definitions about what AI is and what AI is not. Why this is very important is that there are issues issues that are available in AI specifically, but are not available in the use of other technologies or even automated systems. We have to differentiate automated systems from autonomous systems, from highly autonomous systems, artificial intelligence, augmented systems, and all that. So it's a whole lot of different classifications that usually most people would think everything is AI. Once something is able to do something in such a manner that feels like there's an absence of the human element, most times we feel that's AI. But like Mr. Domo has said, artificial intelligence is more of a sometimes you could call it a software in whatever other structure you might find it. If you find it in robots, if you find it in cars or whatever, it's just a software. It's like the brain of a human being. So there are robots that are run by artificial intelligence. There are others that are just, there are cars that are run by artificial intelligence and others that are not. Now, having said that, we are looking at how we utilize artificial intelligence to solve challenges generally. This is going to be very brief because I've looked at the very rich presentation that was sent, and so I thought we should just look at the very important aspects. I mentioned here that AI is already leading the fourth industrial revolution, and it's automating and optimizing capabilities. It's making things a lot easier, and believe me, it's also complicating a lot of other things. We've talked about the socio-cultural problems it will come with, issues with job losses, ethical issues, and lots of other issues. But so far, primarily we agree that artificial intelligence is optimizing the capabilities of people, of things, of companies, of governments in several other areas. Here we'll look very quickly at the benefits and the drawbacks of AI. How do we use them to solve real world problems, and what are the issues that we have to avoid in the process of solving those problems? Okay, so first of all, let's look at the real world applications of AI in solving challenges. We understand that artificial intelligence is available right now in almost every sector of society. In banking, in education, Mr. Felix has mentioned how it's used for customer service, and this is something that if you look more into, you'd realize that it's not as simple as it's been explained. It's done a lot of disruption in that industry. You can imagine the thousands of persons that used to sit as desk clerks that are no more. If you don't upskill, you're likely just going to sit there and there's a system doing your job for you, or you lose the job. So there's a whole lot of disruptions, and that's why it's important for us to understand the real world applications, the in hand. How do we use it actually, besides what we have in pen and paper? What are the instances where AI has been used, and what problems has it been used to fix? I've talked about the healthcare industry here. There are AI-powered systems of drug discovery, and there are even medical robots. I think recently there's been one in Japan that's been used to do surgeries. I know there's one in the US also. And there are 1,000 other instances where AI has been so useful in the healthcare industry. Also in the automobile industry, of course, we've heard of Tesla, especially being ahead building robots and also building automobiles that are mostly, at the moment, most of them have not been fully tested, most of them. There are few of them that have been used, and they still came up with complications that we'll talk about subsequently. So we have self-driving cars, and even to build these cars, most of them are done by artificial intelligence and other autonomous systems. That leads us to the manufacturing industry, where we have robotic arms. This is something that is quite common. Again, we probably just quickly mention some of the disruptions that these real-world applications have brought. We have artificial intelligence in education. Of course, ChatGPT. We have apps now that can summarize whole books. You can download a large document, just put it there, tell it to give you a summary or a breakdown. There are technologies that can, in few seconds, you just give it the idea, write the things you want, and it designs. For instance, I can tell you that what you're looking at, the PowerPoint that you're looking at, all I did was to put the headings, and it did this designing for me. And that happened like 30 minutes before we started this. So you can imagine how this helps in the educational sector. You can use it in several, as long as you have the primary idea, you feed it into the system. I have a chatbot that I trained myself. So if I choose to use it to write things, it's going to feel like I'm the one that wrote it, because I took the time, I built it, and I trained it with my own data set, so it understands how I write. And so even when it does some web crawling or grabs information from the web, it redesigns it in such a manner that anybody that has read what I've written originally would still see my design, my writing style. So there are thousands of ways where artificial intelligence has been used in several other sectors. Apart from education, I had a couple of them here. Mr. Felix talked about autonomous weapon systems. That's something that many people avoid, even at the very in larger society. People avoid to discuss autonomous weapon systems because it involves a lot of actors. There are too many ethical issues involved, and Mr. Felix said that autonomous weapons, the whole thing is neutral. Many people think so too, but I usually don't think it's neutral. It's usually at the design stages, especially, there's the need for a meaningful human control, even in the use. So now there's still discussions as to whether it should be regulated from the development stage, or whether it should be regulated, the use should be regulated, in international law and all. So artificial intelligence gets into so many other areas. What is important is that we first look at how does it benefit society in those areas? What does it do? What advantages does it bring to those industries? First, we look at increased efficiency. Mr. Odomo has mentioned that it improves the efficiency, not just of individuals, corporate bodies. You can imagine, like I mentioned earlier, that you don't need people to sit down at customer care lines. Also, even in the case of autonomous weapons, like I mentioned earlier, and Mr. Felix also mentioned that it improves the speed and accuracy of targeting. For instance, you don't need to shoot everyone in a market just to find one individual. A human being would need to do that to bomb the whole market. But an autonomous drone could use its own more specific capabilities and find the target and create a direct strike that does not affect others. It doesn't take many more lives than necessary for that strike. So there's that increased efficiency. It provides accurate solutions for what we call mundane tasks, like repetitive tasks, the same thing. People, for instance, people that call 911 and all that, or people that like chatbots for companies. When people chat, there are specific services they ask for. If you have a human being sit there, he's just going to keep doing the same thing 5 years, 10 years. But you can automate that process, and it's more efficient because it answers on time and many other things. Then the quality is also improved. Like I talked about the issue of accuracy and precision, better results and increased customer satisfaction. I think Mr. Felix has mentioned that. We talked about safety and security. AI can prevent accidents. Yes, we've had this, especially in the global north, where most of the societies have these technologies involved in transports, in the transport sector, for instance. Apart from that, there are security issues if you go to airports. I mentioned in one of our sessions the last time that there are some airports in the world. For instance, in Berlin, you can go to the airport, check yourself in, do everything. Everything is mechanized until you get to an aircraft where you're searched, the body search is being conducted. You don't meet a particular human being. So your luggage is being checked, the weight is taken, it's rolled off. You don't need to stay on the line because there are hundreds of these at the airport. So this, it can also detect fraudulent activities. People that commit a crime in a country and they want to get out through the airport, you have the face identification technology, that just scans your face. Meanwhile, in the UK, I heard people are protesting, and now they're trying to sue the government for using this in airports. And I'm not sure whether many people understand how. Yes, I know there are negative uses, but we also have to consider the advantages of having these systems in place. The police cannot find everybody's face at the airport. It's impossible to do that, especially in large airports like Heathrow, where you have millions of people get through. So AI enhances the safety and security of people. Also in autonomous weapon systems, like we mentioned earlier, and many other instances. Then we also, of course, have to look at the potential drawbacks of AI in problem solving. Yes, it solves problems, but then at what cost? I just mentioned 3 here. There are so many of them. There are just too many. First of them is the absence of human oversight. It is completely impossible to get emotions. There's the argument that at some point of certain systems, human oversight is unnecessary. I had a conversation with a colleague who is a software developer also, and he told me that everything can be converted into ones and zeros, even human emotions. And he built an app that made me have second thoughts, right? You'd see technologies that are really something very close to human oversight. But at the end of the day, we discovered that it's more like it was more like a copy, what we would call garbage in, garbage out at the end of the day. It's what it's been programmed to do. So first of all, the absence of human oversight brings ethical concerns, which Mr. Domo mentioned a couple of them, and there are so many. Now, on daily basis, we get to hear that there are more issues, and I'm going to talk very quickly about a couple of them. We've talked about bias and discrimination. The algorithms that are being built, you could have algorithmic biases or data biases where the system is being trained with the wrong data. Mr. Domo was trying to mention there are many of these apps that are used for, or software that are used for hiring purposes. You submit your CV and it scans and looks for certain data. I've actually forgotten some of the terminologies also. It happens, but I'm sure you understand. So you dump your CV there, and it checks for certain parameters and finds certain things and says, okay, this person is fit for the job. So for instance, you find studies that say that women never get to a particular aspect of a particular level in the company because there's a technology that always kicks out females. And this is something that has been proven by studies, even in the US for so many years. So there's that bias that comes with the algorithm. Some systems, 2 years ago, one of the hiring systems, I think, I've forgotten, was that, I hope I remember before the end of the day, just 2 years ago, and people, there's a study that indicated that it was trained by CVs from a particular set of people. So anything outside that, it just flags it, not because it is wrong, but because it wasn't trained with that data. And we have this also with large language models. Large language models are trained with British English or American English. So if you, as a researcher, if you, most of your grammar when you're writing heavy research is going to sound like something that has been written by these technologies. And whenever they are passed through these technologies, as long as your English is neither British or American, the likelihood that it's going to flag as for what they call it, like you copied it from somewhere, is very high. So there are many of these kinds of biases in every system, in health systems, and it leads to poor decision making. Because, for instance, if Mr. Domo does certificate checks, if there's a failure if an automated system is used to check for specific marks on systems, if that, let's assume the system was trained with only universities in Europe, now it finds a certificate from Nigeria, it's going to flag it as fake because it's not trained with that data. And whatever decision is going to come out of that is most likely going to be a very poor decision that is based on an automated system's feedback. We've talked about transparency and accountability. Somebody has to be behind the system. Now with transparency, there's the bigger problem of the black box. People always argue the black box is that aspect of technologies that even the developers give the impression that they don't really understand what happens. You know, you feed in data and then it gives you an output. So between the points, the garbage in and the garbage out, there is a black box that you don't know what the system does. I argue that as long as it's designed by people, it's like saying somebody gets into an aircraft in Lagos and comes out in Abuja. We don't know what happens midway. Someone powered it. Someone decided the route it should use. So there has to be someone accountable for whatever happens, even if they choose to call it a black box. Transparency also means let's understand what the system does. Let's understand how you came to your decision. This is another very complicated issue because there are some systems that are so complicated. You need to be a technologist, or you need to understand a lot about technology to understand how it takes that decision. A very quick example is the cookies. You open a website and it tells you, hey, we use cookies, and you accept all. Now, 90% of the users of websites do not understand what cookies do. Now, cookies are like little trackers. They take everything. They take your footsteps on the net. They gather your data, and they can be used to train most of this AI. Zoom updated their settings, their privacy information the other day, and everyone screamed. I was even worried because imagine that you're speaking and it's recording. It's also using the information you're giving in your meeting to train its data, or they can even sell it and use it to train an AI. So we have the issue of transparency. There's the issue of ownership, social manipulation also, and misinformation. There are other morality issues that could also come from this. It's an ethical issue, but I consider it morality-based issue. It changes the morals of the society. For instance, last week or 2 weeks ago, there's this app in Spain. They call it closeoff.io. You just upload someone's picture and it undresses the person. Now in Spain, I think that was last week, a group of boys just did this, and they played around with girls' images, and it caused an uproar in the society. Now you begin to ask the questions: why do we need an app that undresses people? There are lots of issues, moral issues with these technologies. There are others. privacy, security, surveillance, which also comes with the problem of balancing the good and the evil with technologies. And then we've talked about, I've mentioned talked a lot about autonomous weapon systems, where the issue of meaningful human control, comes. Then job disruption. Very quickly, in the 1920s, if you wanted to buy a horse, you would spend a lot of money to acquire a horse, and you could ride a horse almost anywhere. But 10 years later, somebody just produced a car. Carl Benz came up with, okay, we can use wheels and find a way of moving these things without, And in the next one decade, like in the next 10 years, thousands of industries were shut down. What happened? The guys that the industry that fed the horses were closed down because the horses were no more being used. Those that built carriages were closed down. Those that made wood for carriages were closed down. Those that all sorts of, those that learned how to ride horses, they were like the drivers, were shut down. And millions of people, there was a depression in the economy, and taxes went down. Countries were crumbled just because, we changed from horses. So there's going to be a disruption. It's going to take quite a while. People will crumble and then people will recover, right? Mr. Domo had mentioned that, yeah, we're going to lose jobs, but we're going to get them back. The problem is that in some societies, the impact is going to be more than in other societies. In Europe, for instance, you lose your job for one year, 2 years. At most, the government takes care of your basic needs. But let's go back to Africa. You lose your job, or you're on your own, nobody cares. So imagine someone saying, for 1 year, you have to balance yourself. Now, retraining is going to be expensive. How much would they have to pay for new courses? It's like somebody that is a farmer, and then people introduce the tractors to drive. An ordinary farmer needs to start learning how to drive a tractor. How long is that going to take? How is he going to feed himself in the process of retraining himself? Where is he going to get money when he has done retraining himself to buy a tractor? Meanwhile, as a farmer, you could just walk into a farm, get a hoe with some cheap hoe and stuff, and get it done with human effort. So job disruptions are really going to happen. There are going to be huge shifts in skill sets. But some people are too old to start learning. These are realities. These are not technical issues. They are realities. Somebody that is 60 years old is most unlikely to start learning how to use computers if they have been using typewriters. So many people are going to lose their jobs. You're going to prefer to hire younger secretaries that understand how to use AI as against older persons who are most likely not going to be able to use it. So there are many issues with job disruption. It's society by society. But for the African society and most other places in the global south or other not very developed societies, we're going to feel the impact a lot more compared to what we have in the global north and the Western world. Then the cost and complexity. Implementing AI systems can be expensive and they need a lot of technical expertise. So it's going to increase the rich-poor gap. Some people will have, imagine that people in universities, in a particular class, there are some people that can afford to pay for subscription for ChatGPT. They can get the assignments done very quickly. In the same class, there are people who can afford to pay. So it makes some people look stupid when they are not actually stupid. It makes some people look very intelligent when they are not. It's just that cost, the cost of systems is going to increase the complexity in societies generally. Then there are future challenges that we may not really see now. Some are already there, like the ethical challenges and economic disruption. Environmental challenges that people have started talking about them. But I can't remember the exact figure, but each time you enter a prompt on ChatGPT, it uses about 6 gallons of water. Now that's for one person. So imagine how many people, imagine the scale around the world, how much water is being consumed to run one software. Now it's a large language model, it's a foundational model. So other models are built on this one. Imagine the impact on the society. Lots of environmental challenges are going to come, right? We can also see issues with natural disasters and waste reduction, they are going to come. AI can also help with these things, but we need to look at how it also creates these challenges. AI is also going to impact job markets. It's already started. So social interactions, now people buy personal robots, personal relationships are just being messed up because people prefer to talk with their chatbots and get the so-called comforts they would get from humans also. Then the ethical challenges that I've talked about. These are things that we need to be sure that while companies or while AI creators are trying to make profits, they also do this ethically and understand that there has to be some moderation in the use of some of these technologies. Finally, I've mentioned that AI is transforming and will completely transform and shape the world in new ways, many ways that we can't tell at the moment. There are challenges ahead, and we need to prepare for those challenges. There are also opportunities for us to grow. We can learn how to use these things ethically and use it to build our societies properly. Thank you so much. If there are questions, I know we are going to take questions at the end of the presentation. So thank you. Over to you, Hussein.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Gabriel. Mr. Hussein had to leave.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, sir. I want to also thank our other mentors, Mr. Felix and Mr. Udomo. All right, so we're about to move to our next section, and our mentees, if you are ready, right, can you make your presentation? If you're ready, can you make your presentation? Our mentees, can you go ahead with your presentation?
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Gabriel, Mr. Udo, Mr. Shiraz. Please, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Trying to see if I can share my screen. Okay. Is it? Are we all seeing it, please?
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Okay. Screen. Is it visible now? All right. Our mentors already gave a lot of explanation on this presentation I'm about to make. I'm Sharon Jagede. So we would be talking about, let's see, sorry, slides. Talking about AI and utilizing it to solve social economic problems. First, the definition of AI, I think it's I don't want to read from the this a bit nervous, so please apologize. It is the use of intelligence of machine intelligence as opposed to the use of human intelligence, and it has been used in various sectors of the world now, educational sectors, health sectors, in the bank sector, the agricultural sector. A lot of it will be mentioned here, and then we're going to discuss it. And social economic challenge. This is the position of individuals and a group of humans, and how it relates to the social economic scale. The factors here involved here includes the occupation, the occupation of the individual, the academic, the education, the amount of education they have received, and how and the amount they have done, how it's been, and how it's the impacts in their lives. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. So we're going to, here is the advantages of AI generally in our day-to-day activities. First, it enhances fast decision making. When it comes to in environments where where it's only humans making the decisions. AI makes it easier and it makes it faster, in the sense that they don't like, I think Mr. Udo mentioned, or was Mr. Gabriel that mentioned it, they don't have emotions. So just make the beneficial decision at that particular point in time. And yeah, it supports intelligent decision making with the data imputed into it. It gives beneficial decisions, and it makes it fast without wasting too much time, and it makes the best decision at that point in time also. And in environments like organizations, like companies, where they deal with vast amount of data, it helps in those circumstances, and it relieves humans of the stress of having to waste time in making those decisions. Also, a reduction of human errors. When it comes to human errors, where with the various amount of various amount of data gathered, yes, humans could, when it comes to human being, we could be confused, we could make errors in we could make mistakes because of the amount of data we are dealing with. However, when we involve AI, it helps, and it is specific. It is specific, and it makes the best decision also. Then it's available 24/7. I'm going to use ATMs as an example here, where it's available to us, and we don't even have to need the interference of human relations. We just go straight to our banks and it attends to us. And there are also banks also use it. I know of Zenith Bank that uses Ziva, where you can just text the robot and it answers you at least at that point in time before you are connected to an human being to help with whatever it is you need, but it gives you stated information that you need at that point in time. So medical applications, when in an hospital, also it helps the professionals in gathering data, collecting data and analyzing it, and tailoring the treatment, or tailoring whatever seems to be the diagnosis to a particular person, particular patient, when it is needed. Then also it also promotes security. There's data security, and then it helps us to have privacy of information, in the sense that there are some information that we don't want the public to know about, the public to see. I mean, we all have access to our own privacy. We all deserve that. So, well, the uses of AI includes, never say what the uses of AI includes in agriculture, in health, in banking, in education, in government and public services, in security challenges, online and on-site. So we're going to be going into this in details. When it comes to agriculture, farmers produce food for us, but meanwhile, when they are dealing with a large spans of land, definitely will need work. They will need human help, and sometimes humans still cannot meet. Compared to AI, it won't meet the amount of production that AI produce. So, okay. Key applications of artificial intelligence in the agricultural sector. This includes crop yield prediction and price forecast. So based on here, when it comes to large spans of land also, AI helps to predict if it will do well in a particular soil, and how much the soil temperature checks it and checks the production. It predicts it to an extent. Then there is intelligent spraying. In large parts of land, there are some parts of the soil that won't be as productive as some other parts. Some would have weed, some would have some particular bugs that would feed on it. So spraying, spraying in agriculture includes spraying of pesticides, of treatments, of fertilizers that would help with the crop to yield and increase productivity. So when intelligent spraying, there's some AI engines that have some sensors that receive signals and helps to determine and to distinguish which part of the soil, the part of the soil that would be more productive compared to some other parts. So it sprays to those particular parts, and it won't even need human to do the work, especially if it's a large part of land. Yes, so there is agricultural robots. It also helps in they perform complex tasks. It helps in the planting, in the measuring of the pH soil, where some things that humans cannot do. So it helps in those aspects. Then the crop and soil improvement. Okay. Crop and soil. Let's see this. Sorry. The crop and soil monitoring. That helps to know and helps us to know which soil will be beneficial to us, and monitors it, which one soil that's getting bad and the crop getting bad. Whenever it needs treatments, it predicts and it lets us know. It shows us that it needs to be treated at this particular point in time. So predictive insights it predicts whatever how much crop will be yielded at the end of a particular amount of time. Supposed to disease diagnosis, it helps the farmer in figuring out what particular sort of disease is wrong with it, and the treatments that will be needed at that point in time. Sorry guys. Okay. Examples of AI currently used in agricultural sector include plantix. This helps to identify deficiencies in the soil. It's created by a startup company called PEAT, and it helps to distinguish and know which pests available, which pest and which plant is in that particular part of land, and which one needs to be sorted out. There's also farm bot, and then there is one soil. AI in health, health is wealth, as the popular saying goes. So AI has helped in production, and it has helped in the improvement, and has helped in drastically reducing loss of lives when it comes to sickness and comes to diagnosis, and also helps to create a personalized treatment. The applications of AI in healthcare includes the drug development, the medical diagnosis, drug development in the sense that it has helped in production of drugs, it has helped in production of drugs for specific diseases, specific illness. So you want to be using a particular drug which is meant for another particular illness. Then medical diagnosis. Yeah, it helps in specific diagnosis, illness done, and there are machines that helps to do this. And without AI, those machines wouldn't have been in place. So it's been quite helpful. Rare disease diagnosis and treatment. When it comes to rare disease, like okay, I think there's cancer research here, treatment of cancer, treatment of those rare diseases, and research. AI has been quite helpful because the data that would have been gathered if it was human doing it, it has helped in doing faster, in doing a lot of research, in covering more grounds compared to if it was just humans doing it, because they work 24/7, and it has made it more efficient and more effective. And dosage error reduction, in the sense that the amount of dosage to use when you're treating a particular disease or particular illness, yes, instead of there are less errors being made because it is because AI is involved and it's more specific. And the special nursing assistance, this special nursing assistance helps patients in the sense that if they are not able to get to the hospital, get to a professional at a particular point in time, it will help even setting appointments with the doctor. It also helps in attends to the customer at that point in time, just before the patient has access to a professional. Then also detect frauds, cybersecurity, privacy, it improves privacy, and it helps in keeping documents private because not everyone should have access to all documents. Then gene editing, in the sense that there's some hereditary diseases. AI helps in as I think it figures it out, because normally a doctor will not just look at you and sense it, but there's some hereditary diseases where it's going to be in your gene, and when you use the machine, it easily detects it. Then there's personalized healthcare plans, in the sense that for each patient, because of the amount of vast data that an hospital deals with, each patient should have their own personalized healthcare plans. It helps with that, and it deals with their history, their medical history, their hereditary, whatever it is that they've dealt with medically. At that point in time, it gathers the data and it analyzes it, and it provides a personalized healthcare plan. AI robot assistance set surgery. Yes, this one helps. It's like a screen green when the surgery is going on. There's a screen that just displays and sort of suggests to the professional and for the next action to take. Provides treatment also for the patient. It helps. It gives, suggests, and it gives because of the fact that it is AI, it gives you the particular decision. It helps you. It helps in the decision making at that particular point in time. That's how it's been beneficial to in the healthcare sector. So in banks, we deal with money in banks, and AI has helped in mitigating the loss. Has helped in mitigating the loss of money, because it helps in protecting money, and there are some machines in place like CCTV helps with that, and also in the amount of data put, the amount of money calculated, the amount of various data put into it. Helps to analyze, it helps to collect the data, and it helps to helps give full customer satisfaction. So there are major AI applications in the banking industry, which includes cybersecurity and fraud detection. Where there are fraudulent activities, because most of the time banking sectors have a lot of fraudulent activities and a lot of people trying to hack into someone's account and all of those things. So it helps to identify fraudulent activities in the sense that, well, money, the funds here of people are being protected, and it helps the workers in the bank to detect if it's a particular, if something is going wrong and it's not from a particular customer. Then chatbots, banks use well, some banks are using chatbots now, where if you're not going to the bank immediately, you can easily just text or call just before you have access to an individual. The chatbots attend to you first. So you can ask whatever questions, whatever actions you need to take, you can ask it from it. And if it could help, if it's not something that needs interference of an individual, it would help with that. Well, customer service and customer experiences. This helps in the sense that everyone wants better experience and higher convenience, because I would not want to bank with I won't want to use a bank that will be stressful. So if one provides better experience, in the sense that I can easily access, I need something fixed in my account and I can easily access it, I would definitely, and it provides convenience. I don't need to be in the bank and complaining whatever it is wrong. I would definitely use that bank. Okay. Well, data collection and analysis. Well, data collection, the AI makes data collecting effective and helps to analyze it. And where there are no mistakes done, compared to if it's a woman, if it's a human, because we get tired and AI just does the work effectively. It's all benefits. And also it tracks market and trends. AI helps banks to process of large volumes of data and market trends, in the sense that the trends that would beneficial in the long run, that won't cause any loss of funds, any loss and cause inconveniences to customers. It helps to pick the best one that would be beneficial. Okay. Yeah, in education, major benefits of AI in education. In education, we all learn well we all learn well in a convenient environment, that.
Sorry, excuse Sharon, please, can you quickly round up with your presentation? We're spent on time.
Okay, well, it improves the learning and it helps the students to learn better and faster by tailoring, by figuring out the strengths and weaknesses of each student, and then choosing the best way to impart knowledge. Yeah, basically, it's grading. It helps in grading and compiling data if there's a large amount of students. There's adaptive learning, there's assistive technology, in the sense that a lot of students that are disabled or have disabilities, like the blind, they have access to the same amount of education, the same quality of education that normal people have access to. And there's school management, data and learning analytics. Use of data in the government, it helps to enforce law. It helps in traffic management, it helps in policy making, whereby it helps the policy makers deciding what's best for the society and then putting it in place. It helps in healthcare management. Well, it helps to provide the best healthcare for the society with little to no costs. Okay. So then the use of AI, sorry, let me not really see what. Yes, the use of artificial intelligence in security challenges. And there's threat exposure detection, where AI helps to detect the threats and expose it before so much damage is done. And there's incident response, whereby incident response where it's acts fast and it gives immediate alerts as to whatever is happening. Also, there's spam detection. This one we use it a lot in our emails. It helps figure out which one is human and which one seems to be spam, trying to hack into anything. And there's home security. We all like to be secure, to feel secured, and our safety. So physical security helps in that, and also in homes and in offices. Let me see the next one, please. So the challenges in utilizing AI to solve socioeconomic problems. As good as AI is, doesn't come with it. It also comes with limitations and challenges. First is trust deficit. This one, it's for the layman, not everyone is aware of AI. I mean, not everyone is educationally, everyone has that amount of exposure, yes, and they don't trust it. So you can't use what you don't trust. And there's limited knowledge also. It's limited knowledge that makes them not to trust it, and it won't be used. And however, meanwhile, AI does a lot for our society, though definitely it has its cons, yes, but then human level, I think this is where Mr. Udomo mentioned, where he mentioned that it has no emotions. Yes, so this gives you what the amount of data humans, because humans are still definitely responsible for an AI to work. And then data privacy and security. It helps to protect our security. It helps to protect our data, but then it's the availability of data and resources to train that matters. And the cost effect of not utilizing AI to solve social economic problems, present and the future. Everyone uses AI, that they are aware of it or not, because even the layman uses AI, even though they are not aware that this is what they're using. But people around teach them, but they will not use it. They will not maximize.
You've run out of time. Let the presenter for group 2 continue, please. Sorry about that. Sorry to cut you short.
So, okay, we don't have a group 2. We just have one group here. So we'll be taking
yes,
we'll
please.
be taking our mentors. They will be commenting on your presentation. Please, you can stop sharing your screen now. Sorry, we had to cut you short. We're just fast spent on time. Sorry about that. So please, we'd like to go over to our mentors. Mr. Gabriel, Mr. Udomo, I think Mr. Felix is no longer on the call. So please, sirs, can you help us say one or two about the presentation they just had? Any compliments or any correction, anything you think they should work on? And I would also like to let us just appreciate Ms. Sharon for a wonderful work on her presentation. Sorry that we had to cut you short. Like I indicated, we are fast spent on time. So please, sirs, can you just quickly chip in maybe a word or two about the presentation itself before we go to questions? Thank you, sir.
Okay. I don't know whether Mr. Udomo is here, but I know Mr. Felix is off the call. Like I mentioned earlier, I honestly do not blame Sharon for a very lengthy presentation. It's a very wide topic, and you could use this topic to write a textbook. There are textbooks that use just an aspect of it. So there's nothing wrong with the length of that presentation. What we, the mentors, did was just a very quick summary, and still it was very lengthy. So thank you so much for the presentation. I had looked at the presentation you had sent. Amina has sent the presentation to me. I looked at it, and lots of issues have been sorted out. Lots of issues have been handled. Though the slides, there's a lot of information, so it's really difficult to tell what specifically to hit out at and what specifically to let go. First of all, like I've mentioned, it's been a very nice and lengthy presentation. It covers a lot of areas. There are still lots of issues that have been that I think couldn't have been covered today. So I wouldn't want us to end this topic with the presentations what we have today. We are certainly at some point going to look at the future impacts of AI, because there are problems that are loading. That's the way we look at it. Like, there are problems that we don't have today with AI, but in the next 5 years, we're going to have them. And these are things we should try to think forward. We should not just talk about how useful is AI today, how problematic is AI today. We have to look at how useful will it be tomorrow, and what are the issues we should look forward to tomorrow. So for the ones that are possible, we could begin now to prevent them. Sharon has also mentioned one issue that I usually consider very important: the disruption of industries by AI. I told that story earlier, and that's just one aspect of disruptions that's been caused by AI, by technologies. Basically, it's not just AI. It's the society has a way of running after abandoning one thing entirely and going for the new thing in town. So with AI, we're going to have this. The disruption is just about beginning. There's a lot more that's going to come. I mean, ChatGPT is less than a year old, and now we have over 6,000 large language models. Most of them are built on the ChatGPT as the foundational model. So I think the presentation was perfect. You could also look at the future impacts and future uses of the technology, those things that are not here now, but we're going to have them. If there are any questions, I'm going to take them, but let me allow my colleague, Mr. Udomo, to also give us an impression of the presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Gabriel. Sharon, just like you said, there's really nothing wrong with your presentation or your slides. I have no objection to it being lengthy. I understand the time you had to put into it, so thank you for that. Although what was missing for me was looking at how AI could be used to in underrepresented communities, so to say. It wasn't truly reflected in that. And I wanted to also bring out something pertaining to ethical considerations, but I think that's what we've already covered, so there was no point readdressing that. But I felt that since it was your presentation, there should be some level of coverage, no matter how little it is, about ethics. There's no discussion whatsoever that I'll be having regarding AI that I won't talk about ethics, or that ethics wouldn't be part of it in the outline. So some way, somehow, maybe you could have included that into your presentation. So like I said, looking at how AI can be used, or it should be accessible to marginalized and underrepresented communities, it's something that I feel should be encapsulated. Notwithstanding, what you have done is a profound job within the time frame, and I fancied and I love the fact that you incorporated agriculture also into it. It's something I never even thought about, but now that while you were presenting, I had to go on another tab to just look through how we can merge that together, AI and agriculture. Actually, funny enough, AI could be merged with a lot of things in different sectors of the economy. So it's a good thing you did that. Also looking at holding accountability, AI systems accountable for errors in socioeconomic context. I guess that's something that I didn't also see personally. Maybe it was there, but while I was listening to you and from what I read, I couldn't exactly pinpoint the accountability feature in it. But these two issues of marginalizing and underrepresented communities, and also accountability, were what I couldn't find, and also ethical considerations. But then generally you did a profound job. I'm sure not just you. I mean, you did a profound job in the presentation, but your team members also did an amazing task in preparing the slides and getting all the research done. So kudos to you. Thank you for now, and we'll await your questions. Over to you.
Thank you,
Dennis.
Mr. Gabriel, and thank you, Mr. Udoma. All right, it's time for questions. I know that was a very wonderful section from our mentors, and I'm sure quite a number of mentees will have questions. You can raise your hand, you can indicate if you have a question, you can send in your question to the chat box. And I, for one, have a question myself, but I think I'll leave it till a bit later, right? I would like the mentees to go ahead and ask their questions. And please, if you have a question, can you indicate so that we can give you the chance to ask your question? Okay, I can see Mr. Michael. Please, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Sorry, Michael. Just before you start, I think every other person who has a question, you could just put them in the chat box and they'll be addressed. So while he's asking his question, if you have any other question, you can just drop them there, and then we'll pick them out. Just put it who you're addressing it to, and it will be addressed eventually. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Sars, Mr. Gabriel, Mr. Udoma, and then Mr. Felix in absentia for that wonderful section. I mean, I've been able to learn new things from this session. So basically, I have two questions. My first question is from previous researches I've made on AI, and then to know about AI, Internet of Things, and then large language model. So my question is, is there any what's it called, like interconnection or connectivity between these three terms, or they are just three different concepts? Then my second question is okay, now that we've established the fact that okay, AI has the positive side and then it also have the negative side, how can governments and relevant stakeholders help in like to balance the two sides and ensure that while several innovations are coming up, several AI solutions are coming up, they are being ethically used and then are used in compliance with relevant regulatory. I know there are no laws on AI at the moment, but I know very soon. I think European Union is working on AI Act at the moment, but I don't think it has been enacted. So, but I know these laws will come up very soon. So, how can the government, what role can the government and the relevant stakeholders play to ensure that these AI innovations are being used ethically and then in compliance with the relevant regulatory frameworks? Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, just before you go, the three terminologies you mentioned, I got Internet of Things, I got AI, I didn't get the last term. Can you?
I think large language model, LLM.
Okay. Okay, I just needed to get that. Then the second question was about the what stakeholders should do to balance, have, that balance the impact, the good and the bad impact. Okay, just to be sure. Mr. Domo, you want to go? You're muted.
Am I audible now? Sorry. Okay. Yes. Thank you very much, Michael. So AI, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, LLMs. I mean, not master's degree, definitely, large language models. They are interconnected in
Sorry, Mr. Udoma, can you hear us? Your network is a bit. There's a glitch in your network.
Yeah, I think he's frozen.
They have several relationships with devices. That's Internet of Things devices, generally, which I personally think the language models can process. They extract valuable insights from this data that have been gotten from IoT devices. So you look at data integrations. I'm trying to paint the connectivity between these three terminologies you've just brought out: IoT, and LLMs. Now, when we go to another, the way they are connected, their relationship, their symbiosis, we look at automation as well. So AI, including LLMs, can generally automate tasks and decision-making processes based on the data they received from IoT devices, that's Internet of Things. They are distinct, like I said, but they are interconnected generally. And also it enhances functionality. AI can enhance the functionality of IoT devices. For instance, an AI-driven voice assistant, such as Siri or Alexa, they can provide intelligent responses and understand the user, probably the preferences, of users, thereby making that IoT device more user-friendly. Then I think the other question you asked was how, in summary, how government's role in balancing both the positive and the negative sides of artificial intelligence. There are several ways the government can actually help in balancing these two sides, so to say. One of them is regulation and standards. That's the basis. The first thing they need to do is establish regulations and standards for AI development and deployment. These regulations
Mr. Domo, I think you're frozen again. Dennis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
I think it's from his end.
Yeah, I think Mr. Domo is frozen.
All right. Mr. Odomo. Oh, I think it's so Sadio, well, before he gets back, do you have any comments on the same topic, or
yeah, I could just quickly just go through. I think he had done justice to the first, and I started doing justice to the second question. I really wish his internet wasn't frozen. But just in a summary, the first to the first question, IoT deals mostly with hardware, the physical infrastructure you can see, and then the sensors and everything. Artificial intelligence is a wider terminology. It's like saying the human being, the things you can see, and then the mind. It's like artificial intelligence that helps the system to carry out certain activities. And then large language models is just an aspect of artificial intelligence. They are trained systems. Most of them are more trained in communication, in language, and that's why they call it large language models. They are trained in communication and taking instructions and giving structured feedback from human beings. There's always a relationship between these terminologies. They are interwoven at most times. Internet of Things, most hardware would require, some hardware require the use of artificial intelligence to be run, like Mr. Domo had mentioned, the use of technologies like Siri on the phone, Alexa, and all that. Large language models are integrating large language models into almost everything. They are integrating LLMs into robots. Certainly, we are going to find this being used in other systems, including a lot of other hardwares that would seep into Internet of Things. On the second issue, Ms. Udomo was trying to explain, and I think I'll just follow up from there. First, he talked about regulation. Government has to figure out a way of regulating. Sharon mentioned in her presentation, was it Sharon? Somebody talked about the European Union, the AI Act that's currently going through the trilogue. There are so many other regulations. There are many other laws that are being pushed, especially in the global north. So regulations are important to create these ethical boundaries, to define the things that you can do and the things that you should not be able to do. This is what's been done with the Artificial Intelligence Act of the European Union. It's they use what we call the risk-based approach. If this is this risky, don't do it. If it's at this level of risk, you can do it, but you have to do this. If it's this, you can do this. But if not risky, then you can just go ahead and do it. So it's risk, but it's a classification from high risk to no risk. Okay, so there are 4 classifications. Government should also help in education. People have to know. The society really, especially in Africa, we're backward with understanding the impacts of technology. I talked about how 90% of us just click on cookies and accept cookies without knowing the implications of what we are doing. So education is also important. There also has to be collaboration. The civic society, the government, individuals, and all that have to be, there has to be some kind of collaboration. Finally, government has to also invest in research. We need to understand a lot more. Like I mentioned earlier, we need to think ahead. What are the probable difficulties we are going to have with using these systems? These are the ways, and there are others, but these are the major ways we can try to create some kind of balance in the use of artificial intelligence. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gabriel, for that answer.
Okay.
I can see one question in the chat box, though I don't think it's directed to the mentors per se, but sir, can you help us look at the question? And
yeah. Okay. I can see, I think in summary, the question is asking the impact of artificial intelligence in the legal profession, which is something very important. Earlier this year, I worked on a project for the Californian bar. They funded it because they wanted to know what impacts, what should we expect, how can we use this technology in such a way that it doesn't harm our profession. Then we had to look at the rules of professional conduct, what should be done. You hear issues like the law requiring that every document must be franked by a lawyer, and then a document that has been provided by artificial intelligence is franked by a lawyer, and the lawyer pleads, oh no, I got it from JIIPCCMIP, and the court says, no, your signature is on it. We don't care where you got it. Your signature says it's my document. So whatever penalties, we are not going to punish JIIPCCMIP, you take the punishment. Mr. Felix tried to discuss that case earlier. So it's going to come with a lot of impacts. The first, most of the impact is going to be felt in the law practice itself. First of all, in documentation, large language models, there's what we call Law GPT, for instance. There are so many softwares that help in contract drafting. It scans documents for errors and all sorts of things that would also affect, like we talked about earlier, it would disrupt the legal profession. As a young lawyer, if all you know how to do is to draft documents, you might have to start your own law firm, because every big law firm out there would have some software that can draft documents in a few seconds, and you are not going to be as proficient as that software. So there's going to be that disruption. We also have to look back at our legislations. Apart from the impact in practice, we need to look at the legislations. Do we have enough laws to protect the court system, for instance? There's going to be a lot of hacking into systems. How do we protect our judges? Right? How do we protect our data from privacy-related issues that are all coming with artificial intelligence? How do we protect information? How do we protect client information? For instance, you ask ChatGPT a question and then you input client information, right? And then that data gets leaked from you are the one that fed the data to the system. The model is being trained by the information you feed it with. So it's now the information is out there. this has happened. There are thousands of data leaks in the last couple of months. So we're going to have to readjust our legislations as per responsibility. Who is responsible for this leak? Who is responsible for that? And finally, we also have to look at the impact generally in how is technology going to help our profession? How can we use it in such a way that it does not damage what we already have? I talked about drafting documents. There's this term they call anthropomorphization or so, where we trust technology more than we trust human beings. So a judge gives a judgment, you put it in ChatGPT and you say, yeah, my lord was wrong because ChatGPT says this. So there are so many issues we are going to have to deal with professionally. First, we need to put regulations in place. Then we need to go back home and look at how we can use this. There are thousands of ways it can help our court system. I just saw that in the question now. There are just so many ways. A judge can take thousands of pages of evidence and just fit them into a software and get a summary, a 2-page summary. So instead of spending the whole day reading pieces of evidence and taking 1 year to deliver judgments, you can get a summary and get give quick feedback or get a judgment as fast. So it's going to enhance justice delivery. And there are many other instances. So I'm sure as a lawyer, you need to know these nuances, know how to get through them professionally, and what can be useful to you and what you should be able to avoid. I hope I answered the question.
All right, thank you very much, sir, for the answer. Please, are there any more questions? Are there any more questions? Okay. Okay, seems like there are no more questions. Okay, let me go ahead. Before what we'll do next, let me go ahead and ask mine. All right, considering the trend of things, we talked about how that with the current movement of things, AI itself there's going to be a lot of jobs disruptions in that sense. What way, as young professionals, what way do we begin to rescale ourselves so that we can now begin to, like, side by side AI, we can now begin to meet job needs that probably AI will not necessarily be able to meet, in the sense that AI is almost going to enter into every industry. So how do we place ourselves, or how do we begin to rescale ourselves, seeing that we are studying the trend of things, so that we are not left without an option in the nearest future? As a mentor who is also trying to see how AI is going to be evolving over time, how do we work with that so that we can have an advantage?
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting question, and it's a very important question. But first, I must say that the younger generation now is really lucky, because when you are at the center of disruption, you can move with it, right? There are people that have moved too far and the disruption has left them. They are too far away from the center of things. So to start going back and relearning and uplearning, there are lawyers that have been in practice for 30 years, some of them are 60, 70 years old. To begin to learn AI now is going to be a lot more complicated, and even though they are going to be affected by the technology. But the first thing we should do is, there's this saying, if you can't run as fast as the horse, then learn to ride the horse, learn to control the horse. So the first thing is you have to learn how to use these technologies. Be practical about it. Somebody has to install the softwares in law offices. Somebody has to input certain data. Somebody has to, for instance, there are people that can do, I've seen people that have used Microsoft Excel in such a way that I had never known how to use them. I had designed softwares for well over 12 years. I had never understood certain things on Microsoft Excel. Many of us only know how to input information, but there are people that use it for full-time data analysis, right? The millions of pieces of data. So first of all, you have to know what technology is in vogue, learn how to use it ahead of time. So by the time the technology is available, you can be hired by a law firm only because you are able to use a particular software for legal drafting. And then you're able to check for hallucinations and things like that. There's what we call prompt engineering now. You know the particular prompts to put and you get adequate information from the technology. So first, learn how to use the technology. Secondly, do some more research, find out. There are too many fields now. There are AI ethics fields, there's the field of policy and governance. AI law itself is now a completely different field from those that I see people that say I'm a tech lawyer, and then you sweep in technology under, you sweep in AI under that. You'd realize that AI law is completely in a world of its own. I started designing softwares, and then I studied law, and then I went back into technology. Then I found a way to put a major to them, right? So I had my first master's in international humanitarian law. I studied laws of armed conflict and weapon systems. And then I realized, oh, there's a lot of technology. In the next couple of years, wars are going to be fought by machines. So I need to learn how those machines are built and how the impact of using those machines as against the traditional wars that are fought by people. So you research, you follow the trend. You can give yourself, just tell yourself in the next 5 years, this is where the society is going to be. Then you wait at that point for the society to get there. So by the time the society gets to that point, you're already far away. Like I mentioned, I used to design softwares even before studying law. So by the time we started talking about technology law and all that, it's a lot easier for me. My PhD deals a lot more with technology than law itself. So law is just like 20% of that. Then finally find the fields that are in vogue now. Like I've mentioned some of those fields that are important. AI law, AI policy, AI ethics, other areas of technology. Ask yourself, how is the technology going to disrupt the society? How can we help? There are issues with, there are areas in data privacy and many others, or you can also even be in research. So if you also want to transit into tech fully, I've seen lawyers that are full-time data analysts, and it helped them also with data protection. When you get into data analysis, you realize that you need some skills in data protection law. So there are many ways out there. Upskill yourself as early as you can. There are so many free courses on Coursera. There are YouTube videos, things you don't need to pay for. Go online, there's a lot of information. Retrain yourself, get acquainted with these technologies, make yourself available, go on LinkedIn, connect with people that have these skills ahead of you. If you check, most of my connections are professors that I've worked, and I've worked with so many of them from the connections on LinkedIn. So you connect with someone, you comment on his post, you get into conversations, you learn a lot from these people. So put yourself out there. That's how the world is run now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for that advice, and thank you for answering our questions. I think now it's time for pictures. Please, you are all kindly advised to turn on your videos so that we can take pictures for our social media pages and channels. So please, can you turn on your picture? Can you turn on your pictures? We want to see your videos, rather. We want to see your faces so that we can take pictures. Thank you as you comply. Okay. All right. So we're about to do that right now. All right. Please, we'll be sending the pictures to your WhatsApp group, and then we'll tag you to post on your different social medias. We'll tag you. You have to tag us rather, and say what you have learned about the program or on this section per se. So thank you. We have come to the end of this section. I want to thank our mentors. We want to thank Mr. Gabriel, Mr. Udomo, and Mr. Felix in absentia. Thank you for such a wonderful section. We learned a lot. I personally learned a lot. Going forward, I'm sure we'll all use this information to good use, and then we'll be able to make the best out of what we are learning. So we've come to the end of this section. We look forward to another section next week. Kindly prepare yourself, and other information will be shared on your group. Thank you very much. Please do all have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.